The press secretary at the White House, Stephanie Grisham, is playing a major role in the White House as she works with both President Trump and the First Lady, all while fulfilling her duties as the communications director. She discussed with One American News' Emerald Robinson, who has more in this exclusive interview.
I just want to start out getting to talk a little bit about your role as not just press secretary, comms director and press secretary for FLOTUS as well. That's quite an unprecedented role you have. How does this work, having all those jobs?
I'm figuring it out as I go. It's first time in history actually, so I'm really honored. I've been with the family since 2 weeks after he announced for president. So I started out at the White House as deputy press secretary in the West Wing, and then the big joke is that she stole me away to the East Wing, Mrs. Trump, and then of course the president brought me back, and the deal that we made was that I would still work for both sides of the house, which I'm really honored about that, and I'm having a really good time. It's a lot to juggle, but it's working out so far.
And the First Lady's we've been seeing her out there a lot more lately. What can we expect in the near future with FLOTUS?
You know, she's going to continue to stay focused on Be Best, and she chooses quality over quantity, and so she's going to continue to really target events that will be focused on opioids. Also, she's really taken an interest in e-cigarettes and the marketing towards children, so I think you can see that coming up with her soon as well.
There's not a lot of love lost at times with this administration, the media, and just last week the White House announced it would cancel the Washington Post and New York Times subscriptions across several agencies.
Yes.
Can you talk to us a little bit about how that decision came about?
Mm-hmm. So the New York Times and the Washington Post, there's a long history there, and of course there's the tweets that you see from the president pointing out there are many inaccuracies, but the problem with them is that we as a press office have been trying to work with them, and oftentimes what I think people don't know about, I think it's really interesting, is that we will get an email that says, hey, we're running a story, and they will list 30 questions and they'll say you have 45 minutes to answer them, and that's impossible in a White House. The logistics of it are impossible, and then generally what they do is they post the story 3 minutes later, and then we're scrambling to get an answer out. They're using anonymous sources more and more, and oftentimes refuse to use what we actually say on the record. And so it's just not a give and take anymore. It's not fair anymore. The term fake news, I know, is something that people really don't like, but it's truly fake news a lot of the time. So the president made the decision, and it's across the White House, it's across all federal agencies, not just in DC, but across the country. So it's going to save taxpayers actually millions of dollars.
And one of the narratives out there in the media this week is that the president is not responsible or can't take credit for the raid on al-Baghdadi, the fact that they got his successor already so quickly. That happened in a couple of days. There's also a lot of concern about the resurgence of ISIS. Mm-hmm. So how is this going to play out, continuing to combat ISIS? And are there enough troops on the ground to counter any resurgence?
Correct. So I can't get into operational details on the ground, but of course there will always be enough troops. They don't have to necessarily be in Syria. We are going to be ready to fight ISIS. The president said that when he announced the killing of al-Baghdadi on Sunday. So the president has always been focused on this. He wants to keep Americans safe. And so again, the decisive nature which you're just talking about, it happened very quickly. When we announced it on Sunday, it was a great thing for this country. He was a terrorist. He was, again, the founder and the leader of ISIS. He was a murderer. He was a rapist. He was a horrible human being, and this should be celebrated. It was disappointing to see how some of the media portrayed it. I saw another network say that we shouldn't be happy about this because this was a human being. I disagree. I don't think that any human being acts that way. We will continue, obviously, to keep our eye on ISIS, and I think they know that by the steps we've already taken.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One American News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One American News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.